Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to uncap 5 frames of honey that we harvested from one of our hives. To do that, you need a centrifugal spinner. Now, there's all sorts of kinds. Mechanical, hand crank, 2 frames, 12 frames. It all comes down to how elaborate you want to get. I only have 2 hives, so I don't need anything big and fancy. I've got a 2-frame hand crank centrifugal. So I got that. We have a strainer. We have a pot to strain it into. We've got a 5-gallon bucket to store it long term, rubber spatula, and our uncapping device. Now, our uncapping device is actually a fork. It's just a dinner fork. However, the uncapping tools come in a lot of different ways. Everything from a heated knife that you plug in to melt the wax off the top, to just a serrated knife to cut the wax off, to a roller that has spikes all over it. There's a million of them. For our purposes right now, for just a few frames at a time, a dinner fork is fine. And we're going to reuse the wax, and I'll show you how we're going to do all that. Okay? So let me show you the centrifugal, and we're going to walk over here. Oh, goodness gracious. And this is the centrifugal. Okay. Now down the bottom you can see the spigot. We've got to make sure that that is well taken care of and tight, otherwise all the honey will spill out. And we go like this. Now, as you can see in there we go. There's wax on the walls, a little bit of honey down the bottom. But what it is I don't clean it until the season's done, because there's no reason to. The honey that's in there can get mixed into the other honey that we have, and we'll be good to go. Okay? We estimate for each frame about 4 pounds of honey this year. It varies. It depends on the moisture content and all sorts of factors as far as how much it weighs. Okay? So we're going to take care of that. And down here, this bucket, we've got frames of honey. Okay. So I'm going to set this down, and hopefully I get the angle right, so bear with me, please. Okay. So, we get a frame of honey. There we go. That's better. You want to make sure each cell is open, and all I'm doing is I'm running the fork over the top. I'm not trying to gouge it. I'm not trying to rip it apart or anything like that. You want to make sure every cell is opened. Now, before you can harvest a frame of honey, it needs to be capped. What that means is the bees have processed it, if you would, to remove enough moisture that it's not going to crystallize and it's not going to go bad. As you can see, we're taking care of all that. And you notice me going 2 different directions. That's because sometimes I just miss. I find by going both directions, I can ensure that I hit all the cells. Okay? There we go. Now we have to turn it around to do the other side. And this one actually fell in the leaves when I was harvesting. So, if leaves spin in the honey, they spin in the honey. We're going to strain it anyways. A lot of times you're going to find bee parts, i.e. antenna, thorax, heads, whatever, in unprocessed honey or unfiltered honey. That's just the nature of the beast. Bees are going to follow this, and they do it all the time. If you don't remove it from near the hives, they literally will follow you all the way. So then we put it in like this. Then we're going to take one more. There we go. So 80%, right? There's not much in here that didn't have honey, but so it's not capped. Here, there's a little bit here, a little bit here, but the rest is capped. So I think we've achieved our 80%. Pretty well, actually. Okay? So, again, we're going to open this up. And on this one, you can actually see it's very, very light. Now, the color of the honey is a direct correlation to which flowers they're going to take it from. Now, I can't tell you which exact flowers they took it from, but I do know that they are different for the color of the honey. You can see where it's light here, then it gets darker up here. Right about here, they had this one full of honey before they started processing this one, because that's how my harvest ran this year. This year, one of the harvests was a little darker, and then it was lighter. So I know that they put this one in the frame first, and then we had the very, very pale. And I mean, it's almost see-through. It's so light. It's beautiful. And it's tasty. And again, we have light honey right here. And dark honey up here. So this is going to be a nice mix. Now, I'm not going to bore you with doing this to every single frame. I'm going to take you through how we spin each one, because I'm going to spin these, and then I'm going to go through and finish processing the others. Okay. And if it comes on top of the metal, you just scrape it and put it in. It's no big deal. All right, so put the cover on. Like it like this. I hold it with my feet, because even with 2 frames, it's still going to bounce around. Okay, there's a hand crank. Now, if you're doing a mechanical one, it's going to have a lot sturdier construction, and it's going to have probably a real solid base, and it won't have to bounce around. Okay? Okay. Now, when you do that, you got to make sure that the frames are set in here right. Now, apparently, I didn't do that right, and that's okay. There we go. Because you can tell by how it spins whether it's correct or not. There we go. Okay, so with a centrifugal, what it does is it pushes honey out of the cells that we just opened. So by doing that, now you see there's no honey there, but there's still honey on this side. So you have to turn it around and do this side. Again, there's no honey on that side. I'm going to spin them again. Okay, all the honey spun. Now at this point, I put it in the freezer. what that does is that removes any chance of wax moths infesting this hive. Because right now there's honey and there's good wax. You can kind of see the wax. Let me get that a little closer. Okay, there's no honey in there, but it's still a little sticky. Okay, so we're going to throw these in the freezer. Go right over my freezer. And we're going to end up going through and doing that. Sorry, washing my hands. With 5 frames. That was 2. We don't have that much more to do. But I'm going to put you on hold until we get the rest done, and then we'll proceed to the stranding.